Today is the day when the Quad foreign ministers meeting will happen. This is also the last day where the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, he is here in India on his official and first visit. And External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will be hosting his counterparts coming in from the U.S., from Japan, from Australia and New Delhi today as far as the Quad foreign ministers meeting is concerned. The Quad summit is something that is expected to take place later in the year, and it is being said so far, no confirmation yet if President Trump himself would be coming down to India. Meanwhile, a key strategic gathering that is now taking place amid growing geopolitical flux across the Indo-Pacific that has been convened under India's chairmanship, that the meeting will bring together the U.S. Secretary of State and other top leaders.
Trusted and transparent partnerships. Over the past several months, our officials have advanced collaboration across key Quad priorities, including maritime security, critical technologies, economic resilience, and HADR. We have seen encouraging progress on many initiatives. As maritime democracies, pluralistic societies, and market economies, we share a responsibility towards a free and open Indo-Pacific. The region must remain a driver of global growth and stability. We will be underlined today through our deliberations, which I am confident will be useful, and I thank you all for being here, and I would request you to make short opening remarks, starting with Australia. So, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dasha. Thank you all for hosting us here in Delhi, bringing us together into the world's largest democracy. Powers in shaping the Indo-Pacific and the world. The Secretary of Rubio and my acknowledge that since you've been in office, the leadership that you have shown on the Quad, I think the very first meeting after you was appreciated. And Mr. Motegi has been there from the very beginning. So it's one of the original Quads, so thank you for your leadership as well. I wanted to start by reflecting on the point that Minister Jaishankar made at one of our earlier calls in Washington, about choices and about doing what Indo-Pacific and the countries within it have the freedom of choice on their security and on asserting their sovereign interests, their freedom of choice on their development and on the future of the region we all share. And that is central to how Australia approaches our engagement in the Quad. It's why this partnership and this meeting matters so much to Australia. And it matters to us, it matters to the region, and therefore it matters to the world. I think we all understand we meet today with a region that is under pressure, accelerating contest, a deteriorating strategic environment and acute economic stress. We are four sovereign nations. We have our own histories, our own interests, but there is great alignment between our interests. And we all share a vision for the Indo-Pacific, a region that is free and open, a region that is peaceful, stable and prosperous. And we each bring our unique perspective, experiences and strengths together as we work to achieve such a region. As the Quad, we've delivered concrete results when we've responded to natural disasters, when we've mobilised to support communities affected by things like the earthquake in Myanmar or the landslide in Papua New Guinea. We've also cooperated on critical infrastructure, undersea cables, we've cooperated on maritime security, and we've cooperated on critical minerals. We all want the Quad to be as strong and as effective as we can make it be, focused on delivering, and we are determined to continue its momentum. This is the future we want for our region, peaceful, stable, prosperous region, and today we continue the work to build that. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. May I now request Japan, Mr. Motegi.
Thank you, Jay. I'll speak in Japanese. 本日日米豪印外相会合を開催できることを嬉しく思います。
I am happy to hold the Quad Foreign Ministers meeting today.
I'll wait. 本日日米豪印外相会合を開催できることは嬉しく思います。主催いただいた J に感謝をいたします。前回私が外務大臣になった2019年の9月、初めての日米豪印外相会談が開催をされました。日米豪印には個人的にも思い入れがあります。今回11回目となる外相会合の開催は日米豪印が自由で開かれたインド太平洋保育の実現に向け実践的な協力を力強く推進していくとの揺るぎないメッセージになると考えています。保育が提唱されてからちょうど10年になりますが、この間に国際秩序の構造的な変化が生じております。こうした時代の変化に対応するため、高市総理は保育を進化させる表明をいたしました。その主なポイントは、域内各国が自らの将来を自らの手で決めるために必要な自律性、強靭性、これは経済安全保障でもエネルギー安全保障でもそうでありますが、この自律性、強靭性を強化することであります。本日はこうした観点も踏まえて、日米豪印協力の加速のため、率直な議論を行いたいと思います。
Thank you, Toshi. Could I request
ありがとうございます。では、ルビオさんお願いします。
First, I want to thank Jaishankar and the Indian government for hosting us, not just me personally, but over the last 3 days. I want to thank Minister Jaishankar and the Indian government for hosting us here, not just in the bilateral visit over the last 3 days, but for hosting this important gathering here again today. I want to thank Toshi and Penny as well for joining us, your willingness to come over here and do this. And it comes at an important time. It was our goal, as I began as Secretary of State, and has been pointed out earlier, my first meeting as a Secretary of State was the Quad, literally within minutes of being sworn in, and I thought that demonstrated our commitment to this process. But our goal collectively over the last year has been to turn this from a forum in which we meet and talk about problems to one where we actually do something about it. And I think we can report to our peoples, respectively, that we are beginning to do that pretty aggressively and pretty impressively on the areas of cooperation. And it's also interesting that on the areas that we are working together on have become even more relevant and more important because of recent events around the world. And so today, I think we'll make even further progress on operationalizing our relationship on the areas that we can cooperate on. And by the way, the most interesting thing about the Quad is not simply that it is a gathering of 4 strategic allies in which we come together to sort of compare notes about areas of common interest, but also, not only is it increasingly becoming a forum by which we begin to take action, but each of these 4 nations represented here today bring unique capabilities that collectively we can bring to bear on some of the most significant problems facing the world, whether it's a humanitarian response, whether it's the security of energy, whether it's the freedom of navigation, whether it's the need to diversify our supplies of not just energy, but critical minerals and supply chains. These are areas where all 4 of our countries, collectively and individually, can bring tremendous assets to bear in terms of solving these problems. So thank you for hosting us, and I know we're going to continue to not just meet but take action, because a lot of work happens after our meetings. Our staffs go back, they coordinate year-round constantly. We have people at the State Department that are specifically assigned to this relationship and to this forum and to turning it into action. And today we'll just continue to build upon the momentum that already exists and hopefully begin to increasingly show to the people of our respective countries the momentum that's behind this gathering of strategic allies. So thank you.
Thank you very much. So we will now give the press time to relocate and then resume our discussions.
So that is the opening remarks that has been made as the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is also present there, and India, which is now hosting the Quad foreign ministers meeting. as External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar said, and called out onto his counterparts from the US, Japan and Australia in New Delhi for the Quad Foreign Ministers meeting, which is a key strategic gathering that is taking place amid growing geopolitical flux across the Indo-Pacific, and it is being convened under India's chairmanship, the meeting which is expected to bring together all the four countries. So to review the regional security challenges and also expanding cooperation across critical sectors would be underlined in this meeting. And when it comes to building on the deliberations that were held in Washington back in July 2025, all the four countries are expected to discuss the evolving Indo-Pacific security architecture, also to assess the progress on the ongoing Quad initiatives, and especially when it comes to strengthening collaboration in areas such as maritime security, emerging technologies, connectivity, disaster response, and economic resilience. And of course, when it comes to the growing influence of China in the Indo-Pacific. Now, with the intensifying greater power competition and also rising instability in parts of Asia and West Asia, this New Delhi meeting is being closely watched as a significant marker of the Quad's efforts to reinforce its role as a strategic platform for a free and an open Indo-Pacific. So opening remarks that has now been made by all of the four leaders there. And of course, when it comes to the program that is now concerned, there is a foreign ministers, when it comes to the photo op that happened, the press statements that has been issued from Hyderabad House, and the visiting dignitaries in a short while from now will thereafter be departing. Let's, in the meantime, get you this live update which Srinjoy is with us right now. Srinjoy, covering as far as the foreign ministers Quad meeting is concerned, the opening remarks has been made. And of course, when it comes to the External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, who is also the host for this meeting, has called out, especially when it comes to the strengthening of the Quad countries are concerned.
Yes, all these issues were mentioned. Supply chain, HADR, energy security, all of these are important. And it must be said that when there is a meeting like this, the elephant in the room is China. When you talk about Indo-Pacific security, it basically means China. But the Chinese have been accusing the Quad countries of becoming an East Asian and Indo-Pacific NATO, which it isn't. This is not a military alliance. Very simply, there is no military link as far as the Quad is concerned. Yes, these four countries take part in a naval exercise annually. But besides that, this is actually an economic issue, a social issue, all of those. If COVID vaccines have to be distributed to the world, the one alliance, one group that actually goes ahead and does it is the Quad. If there is a tsunami, God forbid, in the future, the four countries that will do it are the four Quad countries. If there is a supply chain problem, if there is a rare earth issue, if there is an energy crisis as there is in the world today, the Quad will look at it. So these are issues that the Quad deals with. The Quad is not a military alliance. It's not an Indo-Pacific NATO, as the Chinese say, but the Quad is always keeping in mind the Chinese presence, the growing Chinese presence.
And the growing Chinese influence, Srinjoy, does Quad still, in this current times, hold that kind of relevance?
That's even more reason why the Quad should be relevant, because of the increased Chinese presence in the area. At least the four countries can sit together and see what is happening in the area. Also, the Americans have pivoted to the Indo-Pacific some years ago. When President Obama was president, the Japanese are very close to where China is, and there is a sense of anxiety in Japan about China's growing strength and aggression. The Australians are also roughly in the area. They are also aware of what's happening in the South China Sea. India is a sort of, in the Indian Ocean, a major power in the Indo-Pacific. So as a result, these four very democratic countries are these countries where there is rule of law, there is a concern about maritime security. Now, maritime security, maritime connectivity, what does it actually refer to? It refers to China and all these islands that the Chinese have suddenly built in the East China Sea and the South China Sea. That's what maritime security and connectivity is all about. So China will remain an elephant in the room.
Right. We're just going to play out again what the External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, has said. Of course, this time India is hosting the foreign ministers' meeting. When the Quad summit happened, it is still not confirmed whether President Trump will be coming down to India. But as far as the opening remarks are concerned, the meeting that is currently underway, that the media has now been asked to move out. Let's listen in to what he had said.
Our focus will clearly be on the Indo-Pacific, which is the specific remit of the Quad. At the global level, we have to address issues like supply chain resilience, connectivity choke points, manufacturing and resource concentrations, and gaps in critical infrastructure. The Indo-Pacific has, in addition, its own particular concerns. This will require enhancing strategic confidence, ensuring maritime security. Over the past several months, our officials have advanced collaboration across key Quad priorities, including maritime security, critical technologies, economic resilience, and HADR.
So that seems to be the very focus that we are now looking at. The External Affairs Minister, they're making a mention of the Quad meeting, saying that they will discuss how to advance a free and open Indo-Pacific. And this time, the timing is also, which is something very important, and to look into the various facets of our cooperation, especially when it comes to economic security, trade, energy, and supply chain resilience. So the war on West Asia, Srinjoy, and its impact on maritime and energy security, do you believe that the timing is such that the main issues on the agenda will be taken up?
Look at the Strait of Hormuz. The two countries that depend a lot on oil from coming in through the Strait of Hormuz, and not just oil but also natural gas, are Japan and India. China too, of course. But Japan and India depend on oil flowing through the Strait of Hormuz, all the tankers going through. So instead of 60, 70, 80 tankers a day, we are down to 2 or 3 tankers a day. It's hurting Japan, it's hurting India. And India and Japan and America and Australia, they are talking about a solution. When they meet just now, and they will in a few minutes or so, this is one issue that will come up. How can we ensure there is energy security? You would expect Marco Rubio to talk about it and say, look, one of the largest producers of crude oil in the world is the United States after the shale business happened. So America could, again, step in and say, look, you can buy our oil. That would have probably happened when Jaishankar and Rubio spoke a couple of days ago.
Yes.
But this issue again would come up. And again, the Japanese need that oil. The South Koreans need the oil. The Indians need that oil and natural gas.
Yes.
So this is definitely one issue that will come up. And also,
yes,
Marco Rubio will be able to say more than anybody else when this war with Iran is likely to come to an end. If anyone knows anything,
yes,
it is Marco Rubio.
Absolutely. And he's not been, giving out much. Also, as far as President Trump is concerned, he doesn't seem to be in a hurry to sign a deal. But the 4 countries coming together, having understood, the consequences of the Strait of Hormuz closure and its effect on the freedom of navigation through major global choke points, including the Indo-Pacific region. Thank you very much, Srinjoy, for getting us that update. So the Foreign Ministers Quad meeting that is currently underway in the national capital, we'll keep our viewers updated on that front. In the meantime, we head into a very short break.